Sampling techniques. Dear students, we have been discussing about sampling techniques and sampling paradigms and how to select the sample from population. Basically, research is a very careful activity. Whatever you carry on as the part of your research is based on careful planning. And sampling is one of the crucial points which are very carefully designed and which needs to be carefully designed because our data provides us with the verification and the attestation of our hypotheses, right? So sampling techniques are really important as the part of research studies. We have been discussing and we particularly discussed about the techniques and strategies for making generalizations because generalizations are always based on the sampling techniques of a study and the samples selected for the study, right? Since we select samples and we carefully design sampling techniques, we actually draw upon the information gathered from samples. And then we use that information, that data which is gathered from the samples in order to verify and to test our hypotheses, right? So far, regarding sampling, we have discussed two paradigms. One is information-rich paradigm, and the second is representative sampling paradigms. And we also discussed that information-rich paradigm is based on the quality of information, right? We use the in-depth analysis of the information gathered from the sample. And the representative-rich paradigm or the representative sampling paradigm, they are based on the generalizability, that how true, how authentic are the representatives, the samples are the representatives of the population. Now in this session we are going to use another classification, and this classification is based on a probability and non-probability as sampling techniques, right? So from probability point of view, we have two possibilities and two kinds of sampling. Probability sampling is a technique when all members of the population have equal chance to be selected as the sample, right? And non-probability is the sampling technique which makes it otherwise possible, right? So there is no equal chance, no probability for every member, for every sample to be selected, right? So that's the basic difference between probability and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling, as mentioned, that when each member has equal chance, equal opportunity to be selected as the sample of the study, that is probability sampling. Then probability sampling is that it is based on the selection and the chances of selection. So this chance of selection is really important, that probability, okay? And another feature of probability sampling is that when a sample does not have any influence in its selection process, right? So no effect and selection process for samples, right? And then randomization is basically the feature of probability sampling when various randomization techniques are used, right? Like the random sampling, probability random sampling, when the chances are maximized for equal opportunities among the samples, right? And about probability sampling, it's the possibility that the maximum possible representation is given to the sample, right? The representation of the population is given to the sample, right? So the samples are supposed to be maximally representing the actual population, and that's the feature of probability sampling, right? And it is also said about probability sampling that they are free from subjectivity, right? So they are objective samples, right? and they are giving us things which are based on objectivity rather than subjectivity. On the other hand, we have non-probability sampling. Non-probability samplings are used as a technique. There are different ways to non-probability sampling, which are applied in some particular cases, right? In some certain cases when we need non-probability sampling, and non-probability sampling are based on non-parametric sampling, right? So that's another term which is used for non-probability sampling. And the point is that in certain cases, for certain purposes, we need to have a particular sort of samples, and they do not have equal chance, because in non-probability cases, we need to go for at times for some unique cases, for example, extreme deviant cases. And this is most of the time about qualitative research. When we do not have this, probability sampling, as a technique, we are not using probability sampling, but we are going for specific, for non-parametric, purposive sampling, and we use that for gathering data. So these are two further classifications of sampling techniques.